I fear the attack because the civilians are mixed with us. So everyone must control their neighbors. Those that you do not know, the people you must report.
Faced with this persistent threat, the authorities have intensified checks on people and equipment in recent days to prevent the risk of attacks. Jawad Ali Mohammedin is Malian Minister of Security and Civil Protection.
We have to control people, but with respect. We can't control people by saying, you are rich, we won't control you. You are a businessman, we won't control you. You are like this, we won't control you. We have to control everyone in the same way.
Meanwhile, other citizens express the need to be more rigorous in controls against non-state armed groups. Less than a year ago, the city of Bamako suffered a double deadly attack targeting the gendarmerie school and the airport.
A report filed in by WADR's Aliyu Cham in Bamako and voiced by Imoradat.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
As a reminder, we stream live on wadr.org on our social media platforms. Now to political matters. Côte d'Ivoire's Deputy Mayor Antoine Tchimoko Asale has formalized his candidacy for the October 2025 presidential election. As a leader of the ADCI movement known as Today, Tomorrow Côte d'Ivoire, he is running as an independent candidate who embodies the vision of a new generation of political leaders. Asale's platform focuses on combating corruption and abolishing institutions considered to be wasteful of the budget. The deputy mayor of the Sali department in the Agberitati region of the Legumes district in northern Côte d'Ivoire is advocating for inclusive elections. Here's an extract of his interview with WADR.
We
don't think we have a new society to reinvent. It's not surprising when we know that for 40 years, our country has been going through a lot of crises with poorly organized elections, which resulted in deaths, a rebellion that we have experienced, the educational system that has collapsed, and therefore the values consequently also collapsed. We live in a society that no longer has a backbone. Corruption is everywhere. We want to put it all back in place that has no more backbone. We want to put everything back in order. We have created corruption in the same way we created it. It is our biggest enemy, and we want to give it the means to fight it with the greatest force. Our country has created institutions like the High Authority of Good Governance, the Financial Penal Tribunal, the General State Inspectorate. All these institutions have been created, but in fact, they are totally ineffective because politics is at all levels.
Antoine Tchimoko Asale is the deputy mayor of Tisale department in Côte d'Ivoire's northern region. Crossing over to Guinea, the Speaker of Liberia's National Assembly, Richard Nabikoun, arrived in Conakry on Wednesday for an official visit. He was welcomed by his Guinean counterpart, Dansa Koroma. The purpose of the visit is to establish a parliamentary body for the Mano River Union. This initiative aims to enhance cooperation among 4 member countries, namely Guinea, Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, that share the integration area. Sankle Janko completes the story.
Discussions between the two parliament speakers focused primarily on the upcoming establishment of a legislative body for the Mano River Union. According to the House Speaker, Richard Nabikoun of the Liberian Parliament, this initiative aims to establish a new parliamentary framework between the Mano River Union's member countries and to strengthen integration. To concretize this initiative, the president of the Guinean Parliament, Dansa Koroma, announced the organization of an interparliamentary meeting to be held in Monrovia to finalize the actual integration process of the Mano River Union.
We will soon organize a meeting in Monrovia where the 4 presidents of the parliaments of the concerned countries will meet to try to lay the foundations and the modalities of the establishment of this sub-regional parliament to complete the real integration process of the MRU.
It should be noted that during a recent state visit by Guinean President to Côte d'Ivoire, Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara announced that a summit of heads of state of the MRU would be held very soon to reactivate the actions of the sub-regional organization.
A report by WADR's Conakry correspondent, General Alpha Ibrahima Balde, and presented by Sankule Janko. Well, we remain in Guinea because the corruption trial involving the Guinean state against Alpha Mohamed Kalou and several other defendants has been postponed for the second time. This decision was made on Wednesday by the trial chamber at the Economic and Financial Offences Court, CREAT. The postponement was granted at the request of the lawyers present in court, who cited the absence of some defendants. The trial is set to resume on July 26, 2025. For more on this, let's join Francis Boniface.
The defendants are Alpha Mohamed Kalou, former Director General of the National Investment Bank of Guinea, who has been in prison since July 26, 2022, alongside Ibrahima Tunkara, Maurice Eugène Aleko, the Afriland First Bank Guinea SA, Ejiko Sal, and Joliba Page Company. They are being prosecuted for a range of serious economic offenses, including embezzlement of public funds, corruption, illicit enrichment, money laundering, forgery, and the use of forged documents. Additionally, the face charges of violating freedom of access and equality of candidates in public procurement, as well as complicity and concealment. According to the prosecution, Alpha Mohamed Kalou orchestrated a large-scale scheme to embezzle public funds by granting bank loans without proper documentation, amounting to 75 billion Guinean francs, and an additional claim of 179 billion Guinean francs intended for the purchase of vehicles and various equipment. During Wednesday's hearing, defendant Maurice Eugène Aleko's health condition was brought up by his lawyer, who noted a deterioration in his physical and mental illness during previous hearings. This latest postponement of the case highlights the procedural challenges facing this trial, which involves both public figures and financial institutions. The court is scheduled to make a ruling on the matter on July 25, 2025.
Francis Boniface reporting. Let's now take you to Liberia, where the Ministry of Education and the National Police Authority have announced an immediate ban on street parades associated with school gala anniversaries throughout the country. This decision was jointly announced by the Minister of Education, Dr. Jasu Jala, and Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman during a press conference in Monrovia. The joint statement emphasizes the enforcement of regulations that prohibit street parades during academic celebrations. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
This initiative arises in
school administrators, students, and parents that effective immediately strict enforcement of regulations banning street parades during school gala day programs is underway across all counties.
The enforcement of this ban aligns with the provisions of the Liberian Constitution and the Liberian Education Reform Act of 2023, which grant the government the authority to act in the interest of public safety and student protection. Inspector General of Police Gregory Coleman emphasized the importance of this initiative, referencing past incidents, including a tragic accident on the Monrovia Highway that resulted in serious injuries and loss of life. The police authorities promised to deploy officers to monitor compliance across all 15 counties, ensuring that any school or organization that violates the ban will face legal consequences as stipulated by national law and regulations. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal, and we are live on WADR.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. ECOWAS Commission warns of a growing terrorism threat across West Africa, urging a stronger regional response. In Nigeria, more than 700 people still feared missing from the Mokwa devastating floods in May. Liberian government bans a street parade of gala days nationwide, citing students' safety concerns. Still ahead in the news, Senegal initiates national consultation to reform its communication sector in response to digital media influence. We also have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now, Newslink brings you back here in Senegal, where stakeholders in the communications sector have commenced a 3-day consultative forum aimed at harmonizing regulations on information dissemination to protect the country's sovereignty. The event, which is a key interest of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, will provide guidelines on social media usage, Senegal's press code, advertising and media ownership. Recommendations from the forum will serve as a foundation for ensuring the safety of media professionals and communication actors by promoting adherence to ethics and responsibility in handling of information. Christopher Ticho reports.
The 3-day communication forum focuses on information integrity, regulation, economic governance, and cyberspace. It aims to establish a comprehensive framework involving all players and stakeholders in Senegal's communication sector, with a press code serving as a central element. The forum comes at a crucial time when social media and artificial intelligence are significantly transforming media practices. While these innovations offer benefits, they also expose both professionals and citizens to risks such as disinformation, algorithmic manipulations, invasion of privacy, and a range of ethical, legal, and security challenges. Habibou Jah is the Director of Communications at Senegal's Ministry of Communications and Digital Affairs.
The head of state, Bassirou Diomaye Faye himself, asked us to have very large conversation and discussion, not only with the journalists and the medias, but also with the new online platforms like Meta and TikTok, in which a large part of our youth are using without any regulation of content. And as a country, we have our cultural, religious realities, and we would like them to ensure the application of the rules that we will be discussing today.
Habibou Jah also emphasized the government's commitment to addressing the economic vulnerabilities of the media to protect media independence.
Indeed, the reality shows that because of the economic vulnerability of the media owners, they may not have the choice. Once we have this first step regarding the financial support that the government will give, and then the second step regarding the high level of responsibility of the journalists, I think maybe we can hope that we will definitely have them being totally independent from any political influence and lobby.
As part of the consultations, an online platform will be launched to gather additional opinions from various stakeholders in the communication sector regarding the reforms to be implemented. Recommendations from the ongoing discussions are to be compiled and submitted to Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye for adaptation and implementation, set to take effect next July.
Christopher Ticho with that report. Meanwhile, we'll bring you updates from that 3-day consultative forum. Now, Ghana's President John Mahama has announced plans to hold elections for metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives (MMDCEs) starting in 2026. This change will represent a significant shift in the country's local governance structure as the current government aims to implement constitutional reforms that enhance decentralization, strengthen accountability and promote community participation in development. President Mahama made this disclosure during the official opening of the 2025 orientation program for newly appointed MMDCEs in Accra on Wednesday. He revealed that the National Review Committee on Local Governance is in the final stages of consultations regarding constitutional amendments that will permit the popular election of district chief executives.
You may be the last batch of MMDCEs appointed. The National Review Committee is going round. I'm sure some of you would have been consulted, and it will present its recommendation in August this year. And one of the major items that has been canvassed is the election of DCs. There's no doubt that Ghanaians want their DCs elected, MMDCs elected. Several surveys have shown that they prefer to have your category of political officers elected. So you may be the last dinosaurs who are appointed. Those who succeed you might have to go through elections. Section 12 of Act 936 charges MMDAs with coordinating all public sector and development partner interventions within the district. All ministries, departments, and agencies and development authorities must now align their projects with the district's medium-term development plans. This is meant to avoid duplication, waste, and confusion.
President John Dramani Mahama of Ghana speaking there. In humanitarian matters, more than 700 people are still feared missing following recent flood disaster in the Mokwa local government area of Niger State, north-central Nigeria. At least 207 people had lost their lives in the floods, with 283 homes and 50 businesses destroyed, leaving thousands of residents displaced. The incident occurred on May 29 after 3 days of intense rainfall that submerged the strategic trading hub between the commercial south and the agricultural north of the Mokwa region. President Bola Tinubu had since ordered the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) and security forces to intensify search and rescue operations in the affected areas. Despite the order, the state governor Umar Bago confirms that more than 700 victims are still missing since the incident.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Joining us on the guest segment from Mina, the Niger State capital, north-central Nigeria, is Ibrahim Hussaini, Director of Information and Special Duties at the State Emergency Management Agency. He provides updates about relief efforts in the aftermath of the Mokwa devastating floods, especially accounts of the missing people and responses to the educational needs of children and healthcare services for women in the displaced persons camps.
It is very true, but where we have that most of that problem is we have a school, Almajiri school, that students are over 800. Okay, so we have a problem of sorting because of their addresses. You know how this Almajiri thing happens. It's only when we begin to contact their parents that are out of this our environment to know whether some of them are returned to them also, because they don't have more than that initially, but the figure would keep dropping because some of those children begin to surface and some of them went back to their place. So the parents begin to call back that no, they are with them. So it is not a normal situation whereby you see this person this is the owner of the house and he can tell you this is how many number that is missing in that house. You know, the Almajiri children or those that are into that system, they move from one place to another, and then some of them, they are not being profiled. So locating them actually and then account for them is what we have major problem.
And so usually when disasters occur, a lot of gaps in systems are exposed. And what are some of these gaps that your agency has observed or noted in the aftermath of the Mokwa flooding and hope to work on soonest to prevent a reoccurrence?
One of those gaps is that we should prepare for the whole state. No longer concentrating on where those that are living in the floodplains, whether or riverine communities, whether those in the upper stream or downstream of our dams or those that are within the riverside. That we should have contingency planning for every community, for every local government, so that we have a robust comprehensive plan. Because if you see, the prediction does not include Mokwa as a town. For more than 50 years, nobody has experienced things like this. And then we need to move ahead to have what we call hazard and identification, including the probability capacity assessment. We need to update it to include new areas that flood had not been happening before. But because of the climate change, the water now does not follow its normal channels. As long as the moment the rains are very intense and the percussion level of the sun is saturated, anywhere, any road is very high, it's going to be able to have to just pass. And before you know it, areas that for the past 20 years have not been flooded, or 30 years, you see them being flooded. So those are the things that we need to seriously sit down on and then work very well, and including our response mechanism. We need to work on those very well to improve, to study literatures and do what you call best practices.
What would you say has been the success story in trying to rebuild the lives of those affected, most of whom right now are displaced and living in camps?
This type of flood has not happened before. We have not witnessed large scale of loss of life due to flood like this before. And the response from all the media organizations, in the local organizations, NGOs, CBOs, FBOs, including our donor agency, foreign partners, we have never had this so massive like this. Everybody is on ground, and they are still on ground, including corporate organizations, individuals are donating money, are bringing food, medicals, many things. So we have full, this international organization, we have UNICEF, WHO, you have a World Food Program, United Fund for Population, you have NEMA, you have Red Cross, you have IOM. I would say that it is very massive and very successful.
And so has resettlement or relocation of some of these affected victims commenced?
Yes, what the governor did, governor said he does not believe in camp because of the so many things that are not very right about camping. Make 1 billion available to be given to all of this family, so that at the end of the day, they will use this money to go and settle, to go and rent houses. When they are profile them with their checks and everything, they will undo their checks to them or pay money to their accounts, and then give them their full attention, so that they will go and look for a place to stay for the time. They pay for accommodation 1-2 years, depending when the houses will be ready, and then they move on.
In times of disaster, women and children are the most affected, and for children, it is their lack of access to education. For women, it's healthcare services. But let me ask about the children here. Are they continuing education?
Yes, that the Ministry of Education has education in the camp, or education during flood, or education during emergency. So they are under that situation, and they are in the camp and they are around, including this universal basic education program. They have that contingency planning. In terms of children and also women, we have UNICEF there. Then you have Ministry of Health with the international plans that WHO, including UNICEF. They have made drugs available, and they have hospitals in the camp, clinic in the camp. There is a public health center in the town. There is a general hospital in the town. When it overpower them, they invite them to FMC, Federal Medical Center, Bida. So this chain of community there, if you go to that place, is in place and very, very effective.
Ibrahim Husseini is Director of Information and Special Duties at the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, Nigeria. A lot has happened in the sporting world, and there is still more happening. And of course, WADR's Sankule Janko will unpack all of these details for you in this program, Sports Talk. But before then, Sankule, what should we know? Good afternoon. Good to have you join us.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Of course, there's a lot to know, but let's just take two of the whole lot to talk about. We'll talk about Commonwealth Games, volleyball, netball, and then also the World Cup Championship that is going on around, and then we have some African contingent. But let's begin with netball, because netball has announced that the Netball World Cup will now move a biennial schedule in an effort to future-proof the sport, growing uncertainty surrounding the Commonwealth Games. Since becoming an official Commonwealth Games sport in 1998, netball has heavily relied on the event to reach a global audience. However, the long-term future of the game is now in question, particularly following the challenges in securing a host for the 2026 edition to escalating cost. That's one of the reasons why the future of this particular game is in question. And also, of course, we head to football, because Al Ahly striker Wessam Abdul Ali insists that it's no time to regret, as the Cairo powerhouse prepares for a vital Club World Cup showdown against Brazil's Palmeiras at the Met Stadium in New Jersey on Thursday. That is today evening. Both teams currently sit on 1 point in Group A, following goalless draws in their opening matches. Al Ahly against Inter Miami and Palmeiras against Porto this evening. Al Ahly will hope to be the only second African football team to secure a victory in the current FIFA World Cup, current Club World Cup that's going on, because we have Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa. Yesterday they secured a victory, and they became the first African club to secure victory. So hopefully Al Ahly also will follow that part as well.
Well, we're going to continue discussion off mic.
Absolutely.
Many thanks, Sankule Janko. All right, and with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Falile Su and Umu Danyogo for technical support. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a rebroadcast of our environment program, Enviroscope. And at the top of the hour of 1 p.m, do join Demba Amar Ann for the second edition of our comprehensive news package in French and Fushivu. I'm Abdullah Hassan. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5.